seconds and counting.
Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be discussing Nick Caserio's vision for the Texans. Obviously, his hire was one of the most controversial ones we've seen in recent memory. Obviously, and Deshaun Watson not having a say in the hire, and of course, Nick Caserio being from the Patriots. And we've heard so much about the Patriot way, what it is, but simply put, a lot of people say that the Patriot way is simply winning. And that Patriot way has won the Patriots 6 Super Bowls in a sense. And whether you think it's Bill Belichick or Tom Brady, there is a formula for success in New England, of course. And whether you can translate that with Nick Caserio to Houston is still up for debate. Obviously, he's only been here for one off season. But if anyone had to replicate or kind of adjust the Patriot way, it would be Nick Caserio. He's been there from day one in the Patriots organization. But a lot of people think that Nick Caserio isn't as impressive as everyone says he is. And here are the main few points. And so first, they say that Nick Caserio hired a head coach in David Culley that no one wanted or even interviewed. So Drew, what do you think about this first point against Nick Caserio?
I feel like in a way that may be true. The Texans kind of went through a little drama throughout the offseason with Deshaun Watson and requesting a trade and not knowing if he's going to be there. However, Nick Caserio still had a lot of options out there. We talked to Joe Brady, we talked to Eric Bieniemy. Those deals never really happened, probably due to concerns about the Deshaun Watson situation. But David Culley is kind of the guy that Nick Caserio wanted. He's a very upcoming person. He's very nice. He can lead the team. He can tell each coach what he wants them to do and let the coaches handle everything. And I really have no problems with what David Culley has done so far. He brought in a great coaching staff. You got Levy Smith. You got Pep Hamilton. Those are really big names, and they're on our coaching staff now. And this is a team where we're considered one of the worst in the NFL, but we actually have a really solid coaching staff, especially on the assistants. And so while David Culley wasn't wanted, wasn't interviewed by anybody else, that's really shouldn't be a shock to him. He's a great guy, and I think that he can do a really good job.
And you can also kind of factor in the whole drama surrounding Watson on the legal side, kind of preventing coaches not wanting to get kind of tangled with all this drama in a sense. And so that could also be a factor as to why we weren't able to land a top tier head coach like Joe Brady or Eric Bieniemy for a sense. But I just feel like other people also say that no one wanted to come here, obviously because of Cal or Easterby, but we were able to get Nick Caserio. Yes, I get that Nick Caserio is friends with Easterby, but he's a top tier general manager candidate. I mean, he didn't have to come to the Texans. We were kind of an undesirable place to want to come here. Yes, there's only 32 spots in the league, but Nick Caserio could have gotten any GM job he wanted. He was one of the top GM candidates, is what I'm saying. So the fact that we were able to get a top GM candidate doesn't mean that, it wasn't like Easterby that was the main reason that he couldn't do. Like, maybe, I know it's his friend and all, but I don't know. It just seemed that it seemed like a non-factor when with coaching decisions in a sense. But anyways, the next point that people bring about Nick Caserio's moves as Texas general manager is that he signed a defensive coordinator in Levy Smith that many believe is running an ineffective and outdated system.
I just really don't think that's true whatsoever. Levy Smith has been running the cover 2 for pretty much his entire coaching career. And while the league is shifting into the cover 4 and cover 6, that does not mean that the cover 2 can simply not work. We saw the Colts for the past 2 years of Matt Eberflus run the cover 2, and they've been a top 5, top 10 defense. You just have to find people that can play in that position, be comfortable in it, and run that scheme. And so it really should have nothing to do with Levy Smith. He's a very good defensive coordinator. He was the head coach of the Bears. He's been to Super Bowls. So to say something is ineffective is simply just not fair. And to say it's outdated isn't giving us really a chance at all. We have to be able to run a system and know what we're doing. And just flat out say they're running cover 2 is not a bad thing whatsoever, so we can get the guys ready to play.
Yeah, and a lot of people knock on Levy Smith because of his lack of success at college at Illinois. But honestly, the only thing that concerns me with Levy Smith would be I guess his stubbornness. I think he said one time that like I'm not gonna try to adjust anything. It's just gonna be like straight up Tampa 2 or something like that. But honestly, Nick Caserio did what his coach wanted. He got the personnel to fit the scheme, like you said. So I feel like that's one of the traits of a good GM in getting the personnel that fits your scheme. Like we've seen time and time again where general managers they just sign whoever the best guy is, but sometimes that's those signings they don't work out for good reason, right? Um, so yeah, I think Nick Caserio does deserve some credit here in really finding guys to fit the scheme. And next, he another point is that Nick Caserio utterly failed to do anything substantial in mending the fence with Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson made his mind up about a couple of days after the regular season that he did not want to be in Houston anymore. We found this out after his official trade request that Adam Schefter tweeted out. He said, "We knew this for a long time." And while, yes, he may have been real pissed off about how he found out about Nick Caserio being hired while he was on vacation in Cabo or whatever over Twitter, is how he found out, supposedly, is what we've heard. But there was nothing that Nick Caserio could truly do. And to this day, he still may be actually doing something to try to get Deshaun Watson to come back. There's a lot of problems going on with Deshaun Watson he has to figure out with his camp and legally as well that he has to figure out. So it's really nothing that out of Nick Caserio's control. It really is more control of the upper front office, people like Easterby and McNair that truly kind of ran that organization before Nick Caserio got here. They're to fault for why Deshaun Watson is in the situation that he is now. Obviously not legally, because that was up to him. But wanting to be on the Houston Texans is truly not Nick Caserio's fault.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Like, it's not like he came into a really, really tough situation. And I don't know. It's just that whole relationship. I don't know if it's beyond repair, but I just feel like with the whole news about Deshaun Watson, like wanting to go out, I feel like that's kind of quieted down a lot. And there were reports of him, if there was minicamp, that he was going to attend. And I feel like one of the reasonings is that Deshaun Watson sees all the quality signings that Nick Caserio has made this offseason and is willing to give this team another chance. That's like the shred of hope. I think 1% chance that Deshaun Watson may return, maybe a little higher, I guess. But that's maybe Nick Caserio. I think that's what Nick Caserio is trying to do, like prove him by actions, not by words. You can say all you want, but if you don't show anything to like prove it, then what's the point, right? But the next point about of the so-and-so Nick Caserio's failures is that people are saying that he failed to convince J.J. Watt to end his career in Houston.
J.J. Watt kind of needed to just move on. The team finished 4-12, and you want to obviously put your franchise player in a position where he's happy and comfortable. And I don't think Houston was really that place for J.J. Watt after the end of the season. And then also you look from a salary standpoint, where J.J. Watt's contract was worth 10 mil plus 15 mil. I don't know the exact number on that. But, you can't just keep that salary on the team for a team that's going to go 4-13, 5-12 this next season. J.J. Watt's one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. There's really just no point in keeping him at this point. So I don't feel like Nick Caserio's at fault for that either. If anything, he did the right thing. He let one of the most important players in Houston sports history move on. Hopefully he can go win a championship somewhere. And then he also did the right thing by getting rid of the salary.
Yeah, I feel like allowing him to choose wherever he wanted to go was the best choice. I feel like in an alternate reality that JJ Watt could have given us like a list of destinations he wanted to go, and then we just traded him there. But honestly, that was just like the bigger move, like a better move from like I don't want to say moral standpoint in a sense, but I think that was just like doing right by your players, especially JJ Watt, who's a Houston legend. So I don't see any fault in Nick Caserio doing that. And then another reason why people are not happy with Nick Caserio is that he failed to lure in any of the top tier free agents.
And this kind of goes back to what I said about the JJ Watt thing, is the Texans just really weren't in that place where they're going to be competing next year. I think everybody knew it. That's why you see all these people ranking us so low, saying we're the worst roster in the NFL. I mean, we were kind of going to be like that regardless. So and there wasn't necessarily any free agents that you could point out and say, I really, really want that guy in this free agency. Yeah, there was Joe Thuney, but Joe Thuney was obviously going to go for top money, go to a contender, and that's why he ended up choosing the Chiefs. He got a ton of money to play there. But otherwise, there really wasn't anybody too desirable. Or maybe you could have gone William Jackson. I'm sure people wanted Allen Robinson and Will Fuller all return. But I think Nick Caserio really got some solid free agents. Talk about Philip Lindsay, Desmond King, Christian Kirksey, Malik Collins. Those are really solid players. And then he's made moves trade-wise. We got Shaq Lawson, Marcus Cannon. Those are incredible moves. But it's, again, not his fault whatsoever that we didn't lure any top free agents. The Houston Texans organization is not in a standpoint they can simply lure any top free agents to come to their team at this point in time. And I think if we keep Deshaun Watson, if he stays, expect next offseason to be really, really exciting, especially if we have a solid season. If Deshaun was to stay, you would definitely see top free agents wanting to come to Houston again.
Yeah, I think obviously Rome isn't built in a day. And so Nick Caserio has to try and fix the culture here. And so he's not going to get top tier free agents in his first offseason. I think any GM, like if they were to try to do what Nick Caserio is doing, it'd be really hard to do that, you know? So yeah, I think Nick Caserio has done a great job so far in landing top tier free agents. And I think we signed the most free agents this offseason. And it's kind of interesting that like Bill Belichick or the Patriots have like signed the second most signings. So it seems that like I guess the Patriot way is like signing a bunch of people and keeping the guys who perform on the team. And I think I really like that mindset in the sense that it really builds that competition. I know a lot of people don't like that C word, especially when it comes about the Texans, but I think it's good to have that. You know, we never had a training camp this competitive in our history, really, because there's some guys who are just guaranteed roster spots. There's just no fire inside of them to really try their best in a sense. But now I feel like that's now that whole kind of vibe has changed here in Houston. Obviously, you can listen to what the media is saying about this being the worst franchise in the history of all sports. But I don't think our players are listening to that. I feel like they really believe they can really prove people wrong this season. And lastly, one of the final points about Nick Caserio's quote-unquote failures is failing to remove Jack Easterby from the organization. And yes, this personally was one of my complaints. I think everyone wanted Easterby gone. But I just feel like as long as Nick Caserio continues to make the right moves, I don't really care about Easterby in the organization. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's kind of annoying that we talk about this so much, but people have literally asked me, do you think Jack Easterby is the problem? Do you think Jack Easterby is the one making these moves? He's signing these trades? And heck no. This is all Nick Caserio. Nick Caserio talked about it when answering questions on Jack Easterby. He said, I am the general manager. I'll make the moves. I am the personnel guy. This is what Tom McNair brought me over here to do. This is my job, nobody else's. So why does he even have to remove Jack Easterby from the organization? Jack Easterby is a guy he's a close friend with. He knows him from his time in New England. He knows what he did best in New England, and he can give him that role. Sure, we haven't exactly heard what Jack Easterby's role is, but have we heard about Jack Easterby in the past 3 months since we've signed Nick Caserio? Because it feels like after Nick Caserio started making moves, everybody kind of shut up. So it just shows how grateful we should be that Nick Caserio is our general manager, because he's kind of changed the culture already in a way that we're not even thinking about all the problems that Jack Easterby could even cause. So I feel like it's okay that Jack Easterby is still in the organization, and everybody just has to put their trust in Nick Caserio.
Yeah, I feel like Nick Caserio is firm. I feel like he's firmly in control here, and he's made a lot of savvy moves in the past. I feel like that's kind of the Patriot way. They make savvy moves, not necessarily splashy moves. I guess this last offseason, was kind of an exception to that, and them signing like top free agents on the Patriots. But I feel like they've been a team that always makes savvy moves, like moves that no one really thinks about in a sense, like kind of under the radar moves. And I think that's what Nick Caserio is doing here. And he's made a lot of great things for the cap-wise in restructuring Tunsil's contract. I believe David Johnson's contract, Brandon Cooks' contract. And so to say that he's failed to wisely leverage the cap space at all is just wrong in a sense. And I don't know, but a lot of people just think he's signing people to fill the camp with warm bodies. But like I said earlier, I feel like his vision is basically keeping the guys who perform on the team and just making this super competitive. And I think you should expect to see that throughout his tenure here. And yeah, what do you think is Nick Caserio's vision?
I think Nick Caserio is kind of the GM that builds year by year. Yes, he did sign 38 players this past offseason, but you won't see many of them next season, if I'm being completely honest with everybody. You're going to see Nick Caserio work these contracts out. He's going to sign the guys who did the best, the guys who played the best, the guys who won on the team, and he's going to build through the draft. He's gonna slowly build this team. I'm even gonna say brick by brick, just like Nick Caserio says in his press conferences. He's gonna build the team brick by brick. He's gonna find the guys that he wants, and that's why you got these certain coaches that bring in certain schemes of the team as a whole. So you're gonna find nice pass rushers for the cover two. You're gonna find really good coverage linebackers eventually. Secondary is gonna have to be really solid, and Nick Caserio is gonna find those guys in the off season. And then offensively, he's going to find really gritty, tough guys, tough players that can fight in every game and every practice. And he's just going to try to be competitive every single year. And he eventually will take us to the promised land just by building that culture, building that competitive nature. And it's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a question. How long do you think that the Texans can return as a playoff contender? Like, how many years do you think it will take? 2 years, 3 years? What do you think?
So, really, it depends on the future of Deshaun Watson, obviously. And then, of course, if Deshaun Watson gets traded, you can get value from there. I would say with Deshaun Watson, I say not this season, but the season after that, we'll be back in the playoffs, I'd like to think. And then without Deshaun Watson, David Smith's going to be your quarterback. You can draft one in the future, and then we'll take it we do so bad this season. And then I just think you'd be like 3 or 4 years to be back in the playoffs. And then, so depends on the assets you get from the Deshaun Watson trade, of course. But I still think that team could be solid without him. He's kind of building, and Nick Caserio gets to have full control of the team. He gets a bunch of assets. So really, I'll say with Deshaun Watson next season, and then without Deshaun Watson, just say 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I think I'd say something around that. And Nick Caserio, he signed a 6-year contract, and so he's here for the long run. Hopefully, if all things go well. But that's pretty much it for the video. Let us know what you think about Nick Caserio's, how Nick Caserio has done so far for the Houston Texans. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.